Hello, everybody. It's Paul Neeson with Pearl Life Ministries, and today I'm here with a new guest, Dan David, and he has a great story. I want you to hear about his testimonial about how he found Yeshua. He's another Jewish brother, just like myself, who's found Messiah. So, welcome to the Torah Life Show.
Thank you.
Why don't you share with us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and also how, as a Jewish person, you came to accept Yeshua as Messiah?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I grew up in Israel since I was a little child, and then the family moved to Montreal, Canada when I was 11, and eventually I moved on my own to Toronto. I was playing as a musician since I was 7. I was playing the violin, and by the time I was 19 or so, I had a music degree already from Montreal to be kind of the next classical prodigy. They wanted me to go into orchestras. The government of Quebec invested in me for 4 years. They got me the best teachers and everything in that way. So I was recognized for my talent. But I had questions about God. I wanted to know God personally. I grew up in a very secular family, very kind of liberal secular family, and moved to Toronto by myself when I was around 18, 19, and started discovering more and more answers about God. I mean, I can share it.
Wonderful. So as you were growing up, you said it was a pretty secular family, but that was in Israel?
In Canada, yeah.
Oh, okay. So Israel and in Canada. You were actually born in Israel.
Yeah, I grew up there. Yeah.
You grew up there, and your family was secular, so they weren't into the scriptures pretty much?
Not at all. No. They would just like observe special holidays whenever it was the time for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, or Hanukkah and Passover. But other than that, maybe Rosh Hashanah, a little bit of the all the food and all that. But there was no real reason why going to the synagogue other than to play like you're a really good person and all that. So.
Okay. And how old were you when you discovered or decided that you want to seek out to see and learn more about our Creator?
Well, originally I was 7 when I started reading the book of Genesis in the Torah, but my father, who at the time was just really not into any of that, he would take away the Bible away from me, and I wasn't even reading the Torah that I was supposed to read from school. So I had a great interest, and then I let it go till I was about 18 and a half, and so 19 I really started seeking after God. And I was battling at that particular time. I was battling some severe depression that really was unusual, because I was always a happy and successful young kid when I was a teenager and all, and there were some issues with my father, with my parents, and other things, and so I really started searching after God, and it all came through the music.
Okay, so you are a musician, and we're going to talk about his amazing music. But tell us a little about like when you discovered about God, who He is, and then the challenge when you accepted Yeshua, being a Jewish person. Was there a challenge, or did everything seem clear to you at that point?
Yeah, so I didn't accept Yeshua yet when I was 18 and 19. I was making music, searching for God for answers, and by the time I was 20 and a half, I got a record offer from a major label. I was writing secular music, music that expressed a lot of good intentions, but it was angry. It was secular. It was looking for answers. It was better music than what you hear today on the secular radio. It was gentle. There was a lot of hope in it, and questions, but there was no answers. And so I was offered a record deal. I didn't sign it. And then I began accompanying different pop stars in concerts. So music became a big thing for me by the time I was 21. And I just happened to accompany one particular artist that hired a flutist who is an evangelist, and we played for 13,000 people in an arena, and he shared Jesus with everybody that was part of that band that I was hired to play, and nobody really paid attention to him, but I did, and I really, something resonated with me, and by the time I was 22, I knew that in my heart that Yeshua Jesus is and was the Messiah. And it was completely against my family's beliefs, my friends' beliefs. I was associated with secular people, and I couldn't somehow come to terms with that realization. So I had to bury it inside for a while, for 6 months, and I just let go of the thought of Yeshua being the Messiah, even though I knew it. And I just kept going on as just a secular Jewish man seeking God, yet believing in Yeshua. But one day when I was 22, he visited me in a supernatural way, and he wouldn't give up on me when I told him to give up on me already. And he came. I was driving one night, and he just suddenly appeared to me. He just said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life," in my spirit. And when I was on a red light in North Toronto, he revealed himself to me. I could look up and just see his face for 3 to 5 seconds, and he just said, "Follow me," and it was just like, "I'm your Messiah." And that's when I saw him with my, with my spiritual eyes. I knew I had to follow him, and that's where I became a believer. Yeah.
And at that point, you were able to share with the world that you're a believer in Yeshua Messiah, or at least with your family and friends. How did they take it when they found out that you now believe in Yeshua?
Yeah, I wasn't actually able to share anything at that time. Unfortunately, I was only 22 at the time it happened, and certainly my parents were not happy about that. And but thankfully, I was living already on my own by that time. It was a good timing. But I wasn't really able to share my faith because I didn't know anybody who is a believer. I didn't have any friends, any leadership to support my new faith. I didn't know there were Jewish believers out there. I thought I just became a Christian, and so the Lord was guiding me step by step, eventually joining a church. And I just embarked on a career of just being a local secular musician and not signing a record deal. And I ended up owning a music school and putting together a Celtic band that did lots of big shows in town. We played for the city and mayors and for police departments, and we played everywhere. I was doing 40 weddings this summer, running a school with about 50 students, teaching them. And after 8 years of doing that, the Lord spoke to me in spirit this time and woke me up one night and said, "You have to close it all down and go into ministry and start sharing Yeshua, sharing me with the people." And that's when I started doing that more, when I was just like a little over 30 at the time, or I was 30 when he visited. And I started sharing more and more and more, eventually leading my parents to believe in Yeshua and leading many other people. And that's where the birth of our ministry came. And now we're reaching millions of people to share Yeshua with them. So.
That's amazing. So your parents actually accepted Yeshua after hearing your testimonial, and
Eventually,
and when
yeah.
you started talking about it more.
Yeah. They actually, well, when I started sharing my faith more, I was invited on different Canadian television programs, and so they actually, with my parents, they heard my testimony, but they also heard some rabbi talk about why we need God and He's the only way, truth, and life. Jewish people today, in a general majority, don't believe that, but He is the way, truth, and life, and He wants to be recognized by them, and He wants them to receive life through Him. And so, when my parents even saw a core rabbi who at the time I was working with talk about it on television, they had questions, and I had the answers for them. And so now they're believers, and they attend a Messianic fellowship.
And so when Jewish people today hear that you believe in Yeshua Messiah, and how's their response to you? Do they act negative, or what's their response?
Yeah, well, lately we don't seem to run into any problems. I can share that back in 2011. Now that I have a full-time ministry with my wife Melissa and all our staff and volunteers, we're a pretty large ministry now. We do concerts in North America, and we try to draw as many believers as possible to come, and unbelievers to come as well. And we release music that goes around the world, and do different projects. We help a lot of ministries as well. But when we started going strong as a couple, as a married couple in 2011, we had a lot of persecution from the Jews with Judaism groups and anti-believers, anti-Messiah people, and they were going to every Orthodox synagogue talking about how I'd betrayed the Jewish communities of Toronto because I was providing so many services to. But it was good timing because I closed my music store and my music school at the time, not because of them, because the Lord told me to. And so there was some persecution, but today we reach a lot of Jewish people through our music and give them CDs like this one here, Visions of Messiah. And this CD is meant for believers, but it has a lot of outreach songs, like Song for the People, and encouraging them to find Yeshua, that they could walk in His light. So there's songs like that, and a song called My Messiah about a acquaintance who was on drugs and alcohol and found the Messiah. So the Jewish people receive it and they thank us for that. And so we don't seem to have any problems. And I'm actually heading to Israel in March, Lord willing, to do a ministry tour.
Okay, so what's your response to people, or if you read an article somewhere where they say Jewish people aren't supposed to believe in Yeshua? What's your response, or how do you feel when you read something like that?
Recently, there was a parasha in the Torah about Joseph and his brothers, and Joseph portrays a picture of the Messiah. He was rejected by his brothers. They tried killing him, but he made it. And then when they needed his help and they were looking for food in Egypt, they couldn't recognize Joseph, that he was really like the king of Egypt. And the first time they didn't recognize him, but the second time he took off his mask, so to say, and they recognized, and they were able to reconcile, and they were terribly ashamed, of course, and then reconciled. And that's really what's happening to secular Jewish people today. They're mocking at Jesus, and they think He's dead, yet He's fully alive, and one day they'll have to face Him and realize how much they need Him, and it will be very embarrassing, but yet I'm sure it'll be a miraculous experience. But to reject him, I really believe it's a big mistake. He's the Messiah, and people really should reconsider that. Yeah.
Sure. And okay, so you said you discovered, or everything was through your music. You're all about music. That you're a big music man, and you showed us one of your CDs already. Tell us a little bit about your music in general. And did you go to school for this, or is this something that you were inspired to do and you learned on yourself? And show us a couple of your CDs and give us your website so people can
This one.
check that out.
Yeah, about our music. Well, I have a degree as a professional violinist. I never, and my wife is a professional pianist and singer. She's not here right now. I'm on tour by myself. But our music, God gave me the gift of writing before I came to know Him officially when I was only 18 and a half, 19, searching for answers. And He gave me that gift. And so we've written a lot of songs, and we released professional CDs with very, very professional producers who are believers. And so we have Visions of Messiah that is very outreach focused, but it's also worship and healing, and it has full band, and it's produced by an award-winning producer. So we invested a lot of funds into this recording, and it is available on the internet. We have our first CD together is Sojourn. It's Hebraic worship, and it has a lot of Hebrew, and it's a great CD for just worship in Hebrew. And we have a new single that came out on iTunes very recently called the Battle of David Remix. And again, everything can be purchased on dandavidmusic.com, our website. Yeah.
That's dandavidmusic.com. So you have some sort of accent or something. Is that from Canada or is that from Israel?
Well, I was just to clarify, I was born in the Ukraine, and so I left the Ukraine when I was a baby, a year old, and then my parents moved to Israel, where I stayed for 10 years. So I believe I have a bit of Ukrainian Israeli accent, and a combination of the two. And so, yeah, just a little accent. But we're based in Toronto, Canada.
Okay, and what's the type of music? Is it exactly, you said Celtic music type of style, or?
Yeah, I play the violin, and so there's Celtic elements. My wife sings and plays piano, and on the CDs we have a full band, and so it's a bit Celtic worship. Has a rock feel to some songs, a little bit of classical feel on it. And we even have a song now on iTunes for the IDF. So all our music is on iTunes. If you just look up Dan David or Dan and Melissa David for more selections. And there's work I do with my wife, work I do solo, and the key that we have is to reach as many people as we can. And so we release our music, we make it available in many, many ways, and it is online as well. We have a store.
Now, when you're in concert, do you just focus on playing the music, or just like when you heard that person talking about Yeshua and it really resonated with you, between your songs when you're in concert, do you ever mention anything about the gospel or anything, or is it just straight music?
Yeah, our concerts, it's a combination of the two. So there's the music. We even have a healing CD as well out that I don't have on me right now, but we do the healing time as well. And we usually share testimonies of lives that have been touched and changed because we do outreach as well on a pretty regular basis. And yeah, there's different things we can sometimes we can teach or share something. If it's an outreach concert, we preach as well, and we try to reach people. If it's only for believers, it's a different setup, but we usually plan each event accordingly.
And is everyone in your band, I would assume, a believer, but are they all Jewish, or they're all just believers in Yeshua and they come together as one?
Yeah, everybody we work with musically is a believer in Yeshua who loves Israel. I mean, that's the main requirement. So not everybody is Jewish. I'm fully Jewish, but my wife is Jewish by I guess in her heart. She was raised in a Catholic home, so but now she's fully Messianic. And so yeah, just people who love Israel.
So I want to thank you for checking us and being on the show, and I want everyone to go to his website, dandavid.com. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish to the people out there? Maybe a Jewish person that's watching and they think they can't believe in Yeshua because they're Jewish, or just anything else you want to leave people with, or do you think you said enough?
Yeah, I do recommend Jewish people who are questioning just to go to a Messianic synagogue near them and just listen to the message and just talk to the rabbi and discuss it, and don't do it on your own. And I don't know that occasional comments would help you find the answers. Like, really go and search it out and study it, read it for yourself, and look for a sign. I know God promises a sign to the Jews, so just look for a sign, and you may find a lot of blessing in knowing the Messiah.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show, and it's great to meet you. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Neeson, your Health Watchman. Thank you for checking out my channel. If you'd like more Bible-related videos, you can click right here now to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can get a whole bunch of great videos on these topics. If you want to check out my website, TorahLifeMinistries.org, where I have so many different videos, you can click right here right now, and it'll take you to that website as well. Until then, everybody, have a great day, and shalom, shalom.